Yeah, certainly. So my degree actually was completely opposite from IT. It was in accounting. Um, and when I graduated, I started in the Big Four, which I'm still in the Big Four these days. And I did financial audit, and I did that for about close to almost, 2.5 to about almost 3 years.
Hello everyone, welcome to CISA This Much. This is Aditya, and today we have with us Christopher, who has recently qualified his CISA exam. Your name, I'm sorry, your name is Christopher, right?
Yeah, Chris is fine. We'll keep
Chris
it
is
short.
fine. All right, all right, all right. Because I was your full name was
Either
displayed.
way.
So yeah, okay, okay. So he has recently qualified his CISA exam. So first of all, Chris, heartiest congratulations for clearing the exam. So before asking you any question, my first question to you is, how does it feel? Clearing the exam.
Yeah, first off, thank you for the congratulations there. It feels great. It's like a big weight lifted off my shoulders. It is a gold standard certification, and I think you've mentioned it on many platforms that there is only one IT audit certification, and it is the CISA exam. So it's been very rewarding to say the least.
Okay, okay. So, we'll be asking him lots of questions, but before that, can you please introduce yourself, your background? Like I mean, your academic qualification, your graduation degree. It was in which stream, and how did you switched here in IT audits? So, I just want to know about your journey from the start till reaching here.
Yeah, certainly. So my degree actually was completely opposite from IT. It was in accounting. Um, and when I graduated, I started in the Big Four, which I'm still in the Big Four these days. And I did financial audit, and I did that for about close to almost, 2.5 to about almost 3 years. And then I got some experience on a project related to, cyber risk and IT audits. That's what really sparked my interest in the field. It's a very good field to be in. It's always in demand, regardless of, whether the economic conditions are around you. There's always high demand. So that's what ultimately made me want to pursue this certification, because I was also thinking about some other certifications like certified internal auditor, maybe certified fraud examiner, bunch of other certifications. CISA is the only IT audit certification in the globe, right? It is the gold standard, and it holds a lot of weight. I didn't realize it until I started pursuing the CISA, and then started studying for it, and I realized, well, this is really a big certification. There's no other certification that you can get in place of this one. Um, and so my background, this really sparked my interest in IT audits, and sooner, I got some experience doing real IT audits in the field. And then one thing that I realized when I started studying for the CISA, you almost have to kind of put some of the practical experience behind you, because you have to get into the ISACA mindset. And I think that's one thing a lot of people don't realize, and I certainly took it for granted when I first started studying. I was like, okay, I've done a little bit of this. I can probably just start mugging up some, certain concepts, and then think I could pass the exam. And it's really not the case.
All right, all right. So, my next question to you, based on your answers, so you have mentioned that, when you have switched your career, that time there was high demand. Even now, also the demand is very high in the market. But, were you scared of, getting here, like, because you were from accounting background, and were you have did you have any kind of a question in your mind that will I be able to justify myself in this field, because this field involves understanding about IT concepts and everything. So did you feel any kind of like did you have any questions in your mind before entering this field? Because we get lots of inquiries. People want to get here, people want to switch to IT. Everyone knows the future lies here, the future demand, like whether it's from the angle of demand, or whether it's from the angle of your higher pay scale, everything lies here. But then they are also scared at that whether they'll be able to justify themselves. And so like I just want to know about, like, did you feel the same, or you were having your different mindset that point of time when you decided to switch here?
Certainly. So like I said before, I came from a financial audit background. I had a vague understanding of, IT controls because, we do integrated audits. But when I switched over and started doing more projects, I was really nervous about pursuing the field. I didn't know any of the technical concepts, and that's where I fell short, was the technical stuff. And that's I think that's one of the things that what's different about CISA versus, say, like CISSP or some of the more technical certifications. The CISA tests you on a basic conceptual knowledge on the technical areas. So to answer your question, yes, I had many doubts for sure. But I also felt confident too that I did have a audit background, so that did work into my favor.
Yeah, yeah, God. Thanks for the detailed answer. My next question to you is, how much time did it take for you, to finish this exam right from the start till clearing the exam? So how much time did it take for you, and what will be your advice to people? Like, how should they approach? What should be the ideal duration? Because this question is it is very subjective. So there are people who may say, okay, I can clear the exam in 1 month. There are people, they may require 6 months of time. Ideally, even ISACA says you should take 4 to 6 months of time. That's the ideal duration. But everyone wants, see here, this exam, it's like, it's in your hand. The more you study, the more early you can give the exam. So but some people also have deadlines from office. So if your employer is reimbursing your exam fees, they also keep some deadlines. So did you have these kind of deadlines from
I
employer?
did.
Oh, you
Yeah.
had. Okay, okay, okay. All right.
Sorry.
So how did you face that, and what would be your advice to people, who are having these deadlines and they are not able to study? So what advice would you like to give to these people?
Certainly, I can definitely speak from firsthand experience. I think to answer that question, it depends. But I'd say allow yourself as much time needed. For me, it was I believe around 6 months or so. And that's also due to conflicting work priorities, project priorities, life priorities. But if you do a little bit each day, at least I definitely think at least 3 hours each day minimum. Um, Either after work or before work is necessary. And one thing that you'll find, there's people, if you go in the Reddit forums and all these other forums that are out there, they say, I studied a month, I studied 2 weeks before the exam, and I can take it. That's great. One thing, I think a lot of people fail to realize is that maybe they have a lot of experience in a particular domain or field, and they are able to spend a little less time in studying. I would say kind of on the safe space that for the other people for me who didn't have like a lot of the technical knowledge, that's where I had to spend a lot of my time uh, in continuously revising. And I think the CISA This Much app does a really good job at accomplishing that. Um, and one of my biggest advice is when you're studying for this certification is that you need conceptual clarity. And one thing that, I made a mistake first off was like I started mugging things when I started studying for the exam. And then ultimately it backfired on me. And then when I found your app, that's when the conceptual clarity, really stuck with me. And there's two parts to it. There's conceptual clarity and then the application part. And that's where the question and answer booklet comes into place. And I think one of the another biggest advice that I tell people is that when you study, you need to have quality study time. It's not about how many questions you do or how fast you go through the concepts. You really need to understand each and every concept that's in the CRM.
All right, all right. Yeah, so I completely agree with whatever points he have mentioned. In fact, so many good points he have mentioned. So my next question to you is like, do you feel there is importance of revising things, because you might have done everything, okay, and let's say you go through the syllabus, you go through entire syllabus, entire videos. There are so many question answers, there are so many there is official QA, there is our mock tests are there, so many questions you are going through it. So did you felt that you are forgetting things, or did you feel at some point of time that I should revise? Maybe I'm not able to recollect things which I have already studied before. Previously I was able to remember things, right now I'm not able to recollect whatever I have learned. Did you find this kind of situation in your the entire phase?
Yes. So early on, I did find that. I found that if I didn't continuously revise each week, that I would start forgetting certain concepts or what I had studied or my weaker areas that I didn't fully grasp what I needed to grasp. So what's really good about your app is that you have the helicopter views. And if people have, purchased the app and know what that is, it's a high level summary of the key concepts from certain areas or certain domains. And I think that's one thing that's really important as you're going through, whether you're going through domain, 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, in whichever order, is that you need to spend a little bit of time each day or maybe each week, just going back and revising certain concepts. And I think, so when I was studying, I did, I think I started with, your domain 2, which is free on YouTube, full domain with all the notes and all the helicopter views and all the summaries. And I think I went to domain 1. So I was pretty strong in domain 1 because I have an audit background, so I didn't really spend much time on it. But 3, 4, and 5 were kind of my weaker areas. So what I did usually was I would finish up a domain and I would go back to that domain and revise everything, but I would also have a plan to revise all the other domains once I've gone through all 5 domains. So each day I would spend just a little bit of time in, say, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that could be just doing like maybe 25 to 30 questions out of the test bank, the Q&A booklet. Or that might just be going through your notes and just revising certain concepts, and I think that's super key. And then as you're preparing for the exam, as it's coming closer, I think it's crucial that you continuously revise at that time. Because one thing you'll find is that when you get to the exam, you don't know which concepts are going to be tested on, and you need to be conceptually clear on all the concepts that show up.
Yeah, yeah. I would like to add one thing here. Like he has really told one very good point. He mentioned that the way he used to revise was, so he was very sure that domain 3, 4, and 5 were difficult for him. So it could be different for other people. If someone is already from IT background, maybe for them domain 1 and 2 could be difficult. For them domain 4 and 5 could be easy. But he was sure that for him domain 3, 4, and 5, they are difficult domains. So he used to solve some questions. So as a part of revising that, he used to solve some questions every day from those domains. Even if he's studying some other domains, he used to make sure that he's revising it in the form of application, like in the form of solving questions, or in the other form. So that is a very good strategy, because solving questions doesn't take that much time, and you're also revising things indirectly. And I always say that, understanding the concepts and application of concepts, there are two things, and both are important. Honestly, both are important. You cannot clear the exam just by understanding the concept. Secondly, you cannot even clear the exam just by solving the question answers. Both are required to clear the exam. If both goes hand in hand, trust me, you will clear the exam very easily. Okay, so any last piece of advice you would like to give to the future CISA aspirants who are watching your interview?
Yes, I'll say just stay determined. Have a goal in mind, and set a deadline for yourself. I think one of the things that it's easy to fall short, especially with conflicting priorities, is to yeah, I'll start studying maybe like now, and then I'll take it in 4 or 5 months from now. But have a steady schedule, whether that's like 2 to 3 hours each day. Stay persistent with your schedule, and then continuously revise. Um, and I cannot stress this enough, is that conceptual clarity is key. You can sit there, in the real exam with the book, the question answer booklet, and it's not going to help you. You have to have conceptual clarity, and I think that's where the Q&A booklet really comes into play. Is that it really tests your applications of the concepts.
All right.
So,
I would
and I definitely recommend the CISA This Much app.
Thanks a lot. I would also like to ask one more question. Since you are already at a managerial level, you have more than 5 years of experience in IT audit, especially, and you have reached to a mid level in this profile. So, like, what's your future plan? Like after CISA, like, do you feel, like which certification, any person who have cleared the exam and who is having some years of experience, which certification or which thing they must go for, like after this?
Yeah, so I'm actually studying for the Certified Information Security Manager exam. That's also called the system CISM. I think that is a great combination in addition to the CISA. Um, and at my level, at a manager level, it's really good to have a manager certification behind you. It's not to say that the CISA isn't a great certification, but I think it's a great supplement to the CISA exam. ISACA is known for CISA, so that's always going to be number one gold standard there. For me, my plan is to pursue CISM, and then eventually I might do the C-risk. And I'd like to get the CISSP. It's going to be a big stretch for me. I feel confident that the concepts that I learned in CISA, I'm able to transfer some of that over, both actually to the CISM and the CISSP. Um, I think that's one thing that I need to work on, is going to be like the technical stuff. Um, but for me, I would love to get more certifications, and it really shows that just as a professional, that you're serious about it, you're qualified, and if you're pursuing proposals or other projects, it shows your client that you're serious about the field.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much for sharing your experience, and we wish you all the very best for the future. And we wish you clear all the exams, CISM, C-risk. Okay, and maybe in the future you might again come back and share your, next success stories. So we wish you all the best.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.